What's up, guys? This is 101 MMA Clinic. We have another fight night, Blaydes against Pavlovich, and we have a new thing here. So it's gonna be fun tonight. We are trying something new, so stay tuned.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers! I'm sticking. I'm gonna try to drink your blood tonight and win this one. So I'm staying sober, And we have a new thingy here, like you fucked it up. Luckily, I didn't return it. So we're gonna play some chess tonight. So what's the deal, guys? We have a new thing. We're gonna try to make it faster, better. More interesting. So basically, we're gonna do. Each of us has like a 10 minutes to present all the fights, all the fighters. If some of two of us time runs out, it's gonna be all matches after that doesn't count. Even though you put your picks, it's not gonna count. So there is more chance for the other guy to win uh, competition between two of us. Okay, tonight we have 20 minutes because it's like a trial. So stay tuned. I think this is gonna be funny, new concept, and it's gonna make it interesting.
Alex is scared. He doesn't think he could get it done in 10 minutes. That's it.
If you say so. I think it's only reason like I tried to figure out how this shit works and I couldn't get like 10 minutes, so we're gonna try with 20.
Yeah, as much as possible, we try to keep the technology duties to the Asian, but sometimes we gotta pass it over to the Serbian.
I think Asian fucked it up tonight.
This is fair. All right,
This is fair.
I'll give
We're
you that.
supposed to have a timer on our screen, but never mind. We're gonna go old school. I'm
That's
not
it.
master of technology, but I have some tricks in my sleeve.
That's right. At least you're prepared. Well, let's get into this card. We talked about it a little bit before this. As of recently, we've had a little bit more stacked cards than this one, but you kind of reminded me of some interesting fights here, so I changed my mind. I'm a little bit excited now. With the main event, we got Sergei Pavlovich versus Curtis Blaydes. Co-main event, Brad Tavares and Bruno Silva, followed by Bobby Green versus Jared Gordon. Then we've got Yasmin Lucindo versus Brogan Walker. And then finally, actually to open up the card, Jeremiah Wells and Matthew Semelsberger. So with that said, we've got the first fight, the main event. And Alex, since you have the timer, I'm going to go ahead and let you start with this one. So you've got 20 minutes total. You could split that up however you want throughout these 5 fights. You ready?
Let me see first. Can I make this work? Okay, let's try. Okay, I think time is running.
It is.
Okay, it's running. Okay, guys, we have like a main event, heavyweight matchup against like two guys, top contenders in heavyweight. So, my opinion here, like Sergey has a chance. Like how he did in last couple of fights. He looks really amazing. Speed of his hands is like really like we saw. There was like some reel that went viral. It looks crazy for a heavyweight. But on another hand, like Curtis is like for a long time top contender in heavyweight. His wrestling is one of the best in heavyweight, and he has more tools to win this fight. And if he plays it smart, it's gonna be a sweet night for him, like spending a night with Russian prostitute. If he decide to make a mistake and try to trade, not that he doesn't have a chance. He has also power in his hands, solid boxing, but it can really end up like a bad night, getting lost in Russia and ending up in the bar with the all Russian gangsters.
Mhm.
Because in the stand up, what we saw in the last couple of fights, Sergey is really a gangster. Just story, it's not gonna end up for him like funny and good like Bert Kreischer and his famous story Machine. He's gonna end up killed by machine gun that Sergei Pavlovich has in his hands. Your turn.
Well said. Now it's off to me. So, Curtis Blades, that's someone I'm actually a fan of. I like his style. I like his, background. Actually, he's from Illinois. We actually went to the same college for a bit. But that being said, despite being a fan of his, let me tell you why I think Pavlovich is actually going to win and get it done here. Stylistically, Curtis Blades has the tools to win, but if you look at the three losses he has on his record, it's similar fashion, right? It's always to a power puncher, and while everyone in the heavyweight division has a chance to knock you out with a punch, right? It's Sergei Pavlovich that has not only the power but the ability to land reliably. Like if you look, he's on a 5 fight win streak. All of them are finishes, all of them in the first round. So if Curtis Blades can make it into a grappling situation early in the fight, maybe take some pop away from Pavlovich's power, I think he has a chance. But that's going to be easier said than done. And I'm just going with Pavlovich. He's got a hot streak going on. I think it's going to be a bit easier to stuff some of the takedowns and defend the takedowns long enough to land punches, and that'll be easier than Curtis Blades defending every single punch, which he might have to do, against Pavlovich because he just punches that freaking hard. That being said, we haven't seen too much of him as of late because his last two fights were both under a minute. So, what happens after that minute, after that first round, if they have to grapple a little bit, we don't know. Saturday we'll find out. But if I had to bet, I would put my money on Pavlovich winning by KO, and that's my time.
Talking about betting, I'm gonna go a little bit later. I forgot completely to put the odds, to put
Oh, right,
our,
right.
our parlays. But guys, we're gonna do it like, and we're gonna post it in on our Instagram, so you can follow us on Instagram 101 MMA Clinic. Okay, I took from my time, but never mind. Let's go to the next one. So we have Brett Tavares against Bruno Silva. Okay, I honestly think that Bruno Silva, in his fight against Pereira, he had amazing performance. He's the only guy that that Pereira didn't finish in his UFC run. He had solid performance. Like I would say maybe even best fight that I saw from him till that point. But in the last round, he got hurt really bad. Like I'm surprised that he even stayed on his feet, and I think that it took a little bit longer. He would be finished. But what happened from that fight? Like we saw GM3 knock him out, and then when he dropped him on the ground, he finished him. So it's a question: where is his chin? After two losses, he's coming to really veteran of the game, even though he's only 35. I don't know how long is Brett Tavares in UFC, more than a decade,
Mhm.
and he when he is on his roll, he's really really good. It's just question with him. Some nights he doesn't show up. Like we can see him like going with Adesanya 5 rounds, then like got finished in the first round with I think Whitaker, and I don't know who else finished him in the first round. Uh, it's just like with him depends, but he's really technically sound, and I think Bruno Silva makes a lot of mistakes charging forward. That sometimes even cost him losing the position, guys taking him down, but like also that charging sometimes when he goes wide moving forward sometimes pays off. I think against Brad it's not gonna pay off because like his defense is really good. He's keep his hands high, and when he finds a weak spot he really explores it and he goes for the finish, and we can see there his experience of the veteran in the game. So I think it should be a really easy night for Tavares, but let's not underestimate of the power of Bruno Silva. I'm done.
Well said, except for the very end. But you know what? Like you said, Brad Tavares, he's a veteran of the game. He actually got into the UFC over a decade ago, 2010, and that's through the Ultimate Fighter. So he's solid everywhere. He's solid in his striking, in his grappling, and what I see from him is at this point he's kind of a gatekeeper, and I don't say that with any disrespect. If you look at the guys that he's fought and then sometimes lost against, they're the best of the best, right? They're the surging prospects that actually make it towards the top. Starting with Yoel Romero, Robert Whitaker, Israel Adesanya, and most recently Dricus Du Plessis, who's number 6 in the division. So Brad Tavares, he's a staple of the UFC middleweight division. Sometimes he comes up short against these surging prospects on their way to the top. And now it's a question, is Bruno Silva that guy? This is probably the fight that I've gone back and forth on the most on this card as far as who's going to win. Most recently, though, I landed on Brad Tavares. So I'm going to stick with him. I think Bruno Silva, he has the name that sounds like he's, a jujitsu expert, a submission expert, but actually most of his wins are by knockout or TKO. Most of his losses are by submission. So it's kind of like the opposite of what you'd almost expect just hearing his name. And getting into the UFC, 4 fights in a row by knockout, entering into the UFC, 3 fights by knockout. So he obviously has the ability to finish. I just don't think those guys are at the level of Brad Tavares. Brad Tavares has fought plenty of knockout artists, and he's survived most of them, winning the majority of his fights. And that's why he's still in the UFC. That's why he's a veteran. And I'm going with Brad Tavares. I think he's just gonna probably get a decision, but kind of show his experience in there against Bruno Silva. So I think we actually agree on this fight, and that's my time.
Let's go. Next one, we have Bobby Green against Jared Gordon. So Jared Gordon finally put his name out there. His last fight and last loss, maybe it was his biggest win. He was really people really talk about him, and he was under a lot of spotlights. And I think that experience is gonna bring him a lot. It's just a question. I watched the fight again, and it's much closer than I thought first time. I really thought they took it away from him, like in that emotion, and I think not even Paddy Pimblett's mother likes him, so we were really cheering for him to lose. But now I watched it again, and it could go either way. Third round he did good, but again he didn't put the damage. It was more control. Uh, but talking about what that fight brings him, it can go 2 ways. It can be really he was like, okay, that was my chance, I missed it, and he comes a little bit not that motivated for this fight. And another thing, it can be that he really comes motivated. He was like, I had that, that's it, and he comes like and makes a peak performance. But on the other hand, Bobby Green is a worse matchup for him. Like fast hands, really moving good, uh, provoking, trying to play with your mind, and it's really hard. So I don't see how Jared can beat him up, in the stand up. And also, I don't think he can take him down, So he would have to make really dirty fight if he want to get that W. Uh, but on the other hand, like I really see Bobby Green winning this fight. Only thing that's really red alert is like that his last fight was like not even 6 months ago, and it was really bad. KO TKO loss from Drew Dober. Even though he did that fight really good, he got caught, and he ended up on his back, and like Drew Dober even throw one more at him. He wasn't out, but like he was pretty good, pretty pretty good, shooken out, So we're gonna see like how much he can recover from that, Like I think that's too fast, but let's see how he's gonna perform on Saturday night. I'm gonna go with Bobby Green anyway.
I agree with a lot of the things you said, Alex. And just to reiterate, it was only 4 months ago that he got knocked out. And before that, he also got a TKO loss. So it's back to back finish losses for Bobby Green. That being said, I actually think his defense is very good, especially in the striking. You know, he sets it up with sometimes a low guard. I think he gets people to bring like kind of brawl and almost be reckless with him just because of how sometimes he talks in there, he's smiling in there, sometimes he showboats in there. I think that's part of his game, part of his tactics to kind of draw the strikes out because he is a really good counter puncher and he has good movement and defense. Is 4 months too soon to come back from back to back KO losses? I think it is, but in this case, it's not going to matter. I just think Bobby Green is that much better than Jared Gordon. And, you know, to talk about Jared Gordon, I thought he won the Pimblett fight. You know, he got dominated by the judges that night, but I thought he did enough to win. That being said, even though everybody and their mother, including Patty's mother, thought that Gordon won that fight, it wasn't spectacular. I don't know what you think about that fight. Like I thought he eked out a decision against a really popular fighter in Paddy Pimblett, but he didn't dominate him by any means. And Bobby Green is that guy where, you know, he can make really good fighters miss a lot. You know, obviously he got caught against Drew Dober, but like you said, and I agree, he was doing really well in that fight. He was making Dober miss, he was landing on Dober, and then eventually he just got caught. So props to Drew Dober, but I think over the long haul, Bobby Green is going to show that he's better in almost every facet against Jared Gordon. He's just at a different level, and he's been in there with a lot of the best lightweights in the UFC. So I think this is going to be another win for him. He's probably going to make it look like a walk in the park. The only thing that I kind of hesitate on is that KO that was, you know, 4 months ago, which is a very fast turnaround. So yeah, I think it's going to be a classic Bobby Green performance. There's levels to this, as they say, and he's just going to make it look easy, in my opinion. So that's my time for that fight.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
I see you riding my time a little bit.
I was writing mine all the time. That's
Yeah,
my suppose.
that's fair.
Okay, I'm pretty excited about this one, and I think I may like some perspective to you also, like why this fight is like so exciting. Yasmin Lucindo, after her last performance where she took the fight on the short notice and signed with the UFC and fought another Jasmine and lost that fight, but that fight was like wow, it was amazing. Like really, I become her fan, and what she did in that fight, it was crazy. Like she was staying in the pocket, taking punches, going wide, uh, and I was like even thinking that maybe she won that fight. It was that close.
Mhm.
And now, like watching her fights from before, like she also know how to wrestle, to take down. You know, like she's complete. But in that fight, maybe it was like little bit, you know, that first time in UFC, a lot of spotlights, you know, like and right away not main event on main card, you know, that was maybe a little bit too much, and she didn't mix it up good. Where I saw that maybe she could, you know. Like I said, she has a power in her hands. She's using that push kick really nicely. Uh, I don't know what to say, you know, like Brogan Walker, I'm really like speechless. You know, I don't. She's only tough. Let's say like her nickname Bear, because like her striking looks terrible. You know, like wrestling, it's not amazing. Like she's just like she has like a endurance and power to push and try to make the fight ugly, boring, and to win sometimes, you know, like and she went like even before UFC against good girls, you know, like Miranda Maverick, what's her name, Erin Bronchfield, you know, like she she did like good against good girls, you know, just like it against really solid competition. I don't see a way that she can win, you know. And I think Yasmin is on another level, especially like she's the youngest on the women's roster. The previous fight was her first one. Now I think we will see the best edition of her, where she's going to mix everything. She's going to be too fast for Brogan. And I think it's going to be easy victory for her. Like, I think maybe like there is a chance even to finish Brogan, even though I don't think she was finished ever, to be honest. No, no, she did once. So it's going to be interesting to see. That's it for me.
Yeah, interestingly, she was actually finished in her last fight, but before that, she's not very easy to finish. And going against Lucindo, who does, pack quite a punch, I think that's kind of a bad matchup. You know, Lucindo, if you just look at her striking without any opponent, it might look like she's throwing wild and loopy punches, but she's very like accurate, very calculated, and she's got power. I like her kicks too. Like her punches land often and clean, but like she's I like her jumping front kick and her turning side kick. And against someone who is likes to pressure forward like Brogan Walker, I think she's gonna get eaten up and beat up with her kicks and the punches. You said a little bit like Brogan Walker, she's tough, and I think her biggest strength is just literally her physical strength. If she could get a hold of Lucindo, maybe tire her out and take a little bit of the power away, that could help her. But to be honest, I think Lucindo will do just fine in the clinch. At least what we've seen in her last fight against Yasmin. She also looked a little bit more physical than Lucindo, and she did just fine in that fight. I agree. It was a really close fight in that one. I didn't know it was on short notice, so that kind of is impressive considering the way she fought. She's really young in the UFC and in her age too. So I think she's got a bright future. And against Brogan Walker, who's a bit older, a bit more experienced, she's probably fought overall more high level competition than Lucindo has. But I think Lucindo's right there. And it's hard for me, other than like I said, tiring out Lucindo. It's hard for me to see an avenue really where Brogan Walker walks away with a W. I think if Lucindo fought that last fight on short notice and she's got a full camp on this one, it's going to be a spectacular showcase for her. So, you're right. This is an exciting fight, and I'm looking forward to this one. I'm glad that it's on here. That's my time for this fight. Actually, one second, I just want to make a comparison to like she's like a Vanderlei Silva esque, just with her punches. That's what it reminded me of right away. She might even be more accurate than Vanderlei. So nice to see. All right, that's my time.
Okay, and the last fight of the evening we have Jeremiah Wells against Matthew Semelsberger. Okay, I think what we saw from Jeremiah so far, like in UFC, it's pretty impressive. Like his power, it's off the chart. But like from the technical standpoint, like his striking looks bad. Like, but he really did, how he's like striking, it's really smartly. Like he's switching
Mhm.
stances and waiting to charge in with really like a powerful punches. Like when he connects, that's good night. Also in the wrestling department, when he decide to wrestle, there is no so much technique. It's just like pure power. And he has some finishes. Like he had a couple finishes with rear naked choke. Even though in his fight in UFC, he didn't even put the other hook in. No need. He has like a crazy squeeze, and he can finish it like even like if it's not a perfect catch. So that's pretty impressive. But like Matthew, I like I like his style. Like he's really like good offensively in striking. Only problem like his defensive side is not that good. And that can be really problem from him in this match. Especially after low kicks, his head is staying there. You know, even though his chin show so far he didn't give up on him. You know, he was taking some pretty serious punches and managed to end up on top in the matches. You know, especially like in the fight against Alex Morono. You know, like he got clipped a couple of times, really good. You know, but again, Alex doesn't have a power that Jeremiah has. Still, I think he's fighting much smarter, and if he survives the storm and have a good game plan, I can see him winning this fight. Otherwise, it's gonna be pretty short night, and Jeremiah will win. But I'm gonna go with Matthew. You know, I think overall he's much better fighter, so I'm gonna stick with him.
Interesting. This might be one of the only fights that we disagree with. I think I forgot what you decided on the main event, but speaking of the main event,
Let's
you
be
know,
Curtis.
you went Blades.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the second fight we disagree with then. But speaking of the main event, we end the fight with a fighter that's, 5 fight win streak, all finishes, and we're actually starting the main card the same way. Jeremiah Wells is on a 5 fight win streak. All of them are finishes. And it's interesting. I agree with you. Like his striking, his grappling, it doesn't look beautiful. It doesn't look technical. It doesn't look efficient, but it's super effective, because he's knocking guys out and he's submitting them as well. He's a lifelong athlete. I was looking at his bio a bit, but none of those sports that he played were like combat sports. So he doesn't have a wrestling background or like a boxing or any kind of striking background. And it kind of shows, but that almost makes it even more impressive, the things that he's able to do. A funny fight that I just watched again recently was his fight against Blood Diamond, and he starts the fight just by sprinting, trying to sprint around the octagon like in a circle, and he almost like breaks his own ankle just because he falls over himself. So it's like um shit like that. We've both been watching like fights for so long. Like when you see something that you've not seen before, it just, you gotta laugh at it. He's unpredictable. I think that kind of helps with his style. He doesn't have maybe the cleanest technique, but if you could surprise him, if you could be unpredictable, you can catch a lot of people that way. And he's kind of doing that with not just the running, but like you said, switching the stance a lot. Where is his power coming from? And again, someone like Semelsberger, who so far he's shown that he's got a good chin, but he does get hit. And against Wells, I don't think you want to take any of those punches. So I'm going with Wells. It's hard to say exactly how he gets it done because he does have the power and the willingness to go for a takedown, even though he doesn't have the most pristine technique. I think his fight IQ is actually pretty good. Against Blood Diamond, he did what he had to do to take him down, out grapple him, because he understands like there's some guys you want to strike with, some guys you want to grapple with, and he's willing to change it up during the fight. So I think he's got a lot of ways to win. Matthew Semelsberger might have the more cleaner technique, but sometimes it's about who's just more effective in there, not even who has a prettier technique. So I'm going with Wells, and yeah, that's my time.
Okay, let's see what we have here on the time. Oh, even 7:30, 7:20, something like that.
Like during that, because I know moving forward, we kind of want to limit ourselves to 10 minutes total. So I was kind of trying to go for that. I went a little bit over, but tried to move it along. I was able to get everything I wanted to say out though. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I thought I'm gonna do better on time, that I'm gonna beat you up there, but I guess like, even that I didn't succeed. But let's say like this: I have a terrible headache. I had a long, terrible day, and like even my English, I was struggling with English. I couldn't pronounce some words. I was slower, so I didn't even stick to the things that I wrote down and what I got. But like, if my machine story and Russian prostitutes make a good reel, and hopefully it will, at least I'm gonna play it as a good one.
Bro,
With
is this fight in Russia? Do you know? It's not in Russia, is it?
no, I don't even know where it is. I don't care about location. Talking about the prostitute. What do you think about UFC becoming the biggest? Okay, guys, now we're finished with the fights. If you want to tune out, you can tune out. Let's just go. No, let's go to our picks.
Oh yeah, let's look at
No, you're
some
skipping on
side
me.
by
Do
side.
your job.
You had me stuck at prostitutes, brother. I was listening.
Okay, so we have guys. Sorry, one more time for the odds. And I don't know what's going on. Even like now, I was looking. I'm only on for $10, $90. I went with all the favorites. Something is wrong.
Yeah, you usually go underdogs.
Yeah, so basically on my bets, if you put $10, you're gonna get 90. If you go with Patrick's, let's see, give me just a second. You're gonna get one, let's see, 130, I think. 140 almost.
Okay.
139.41. Even you beat me up there tonight.
Yeah, I think that's a first. I almost always get the McDonald's payout, but it's this time it's you.
I guess like I'm in a crisis. I need to make some money.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm not doing that much better than McDonald's. It's more like maybe Shake Shack or something.
Yeah, I mean it's maybe your best number so far.
Yeah, but speaking of prostitutes, you're saying something about UFC.
Yeah, like do you have a feeling that they become like a fucking prostitute? You know, there is like every weekend there is like a show, and even now like next weekend they move co-main event from this week to the other week. I don't even know. Let's see the fight card. I didn't have a chance to check it out, but I think it's pretty terrible. I know some people were complaining about it.
Bro, while you're looking that up to see how weak it is, I thought you were gonna say something about their merging with WWE or
And
something.
that too, like whatever you want, like wherever
Yeah.
you want to start, you can start. You know, I just think it's becoming like terrible. You know, I don't know what's going on. You know, before you got excited for the fights,
Mhm.
now, nah. I mean, even for me, it's hard sometimes, to be honest, to get excited.
Do you think if you just disregarded all of the weaker like fight night cards, with the pay-per-views, do you think those still hold up? Like compared to, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, how do the pay-per-views stack up to you?
No, I don't think even that. Like you know, but it was different time. You
Yeah.
know, like I think it was like a booming, you know, and you could connect with more fighters. You know, now
Mm.
like there's like too many names, too many events. I think it's like the fast pace. You know, they basically become like you mentioned McDonald's. You know, and
Yeah.
that's the feeling that I'm getting. You know, even though like I'm every weekend we are breaking down the fights, we are doing the predictions and just like I think it's getting like too much, you know, and we are not getting some fighters maybe that should get more attention, you know, just like impossible, you know.
Yeah, it just baffles me. Like they have so many fighters, they have so many fight cards, and their whole thing about not adding more weight classes, which I think would make it safer for fighters in general. Like they think that if they have more weight classes, it'll water it down. Like, I mean, look what you're doing with like every week. You could actually make more champions, which I think is what they're already trying to do with like interim belts and stuff. Like, if you have more legit champions in more weight classes, it's safer. People have less weight to cut, and you could actually utilize having one of the biggest rosters in the sport, you know? But
I agree. I think that would be the best move that they can do, you know, make more champions, you know, like mm, get that that's the move for sure, you know, like if you're doing that with the interim and this and that, and sometimes it doesn't make sense, you can see it's like forced uh
Mhm.
to get like more hype behind the fight, you know, that would be perfect. make more champions. But I think the reason why they don't want to do is because of the contracts, and then they need
Mm,
to share more money, because you're getting pay-per-view points. Like interim champions don't get nothing of those
yeah.
pay-per-view money. So I think that's the worst thing. That's why I'm saying, like, and I said, like, prostitutes, because like they don't want to share. They're basically like Dana White is like a pimp and treating everyone like a prostitute and doesn't want to share the profit. And getting more belts would do that. And I think that's one of the main reasons. They need more champions. They need more names. They need more hype, to keep people interesting. But the only reason I think why they don't want to do it is like they're gonna have to share that cake. And a
Mhm.
big pimp wants to keep as much as possible for the company and for himself.
I trust as a business, they're making probably decisions that benefit them as a business. When you think about like the merger with WWE, how do you think that affects the fighters? Like, as far as I know, I don't think any of that shit is public as far as numbers, how that's going to change. But I mean, how do you see that going? Are fighters going to get paid more, less? If it makes no difference, then why would they even buy them or merge?
I don't think it's gonna make any difference in the pay of the fighters. It's just gonna be maybe more opportunities for, again, certain percentage of the fighters. Like
Mhm.
the fighters on the bottom, on the middle. They're not gonna get anything. The guys who are managed to get some hype behind them, get the name there, like Sean O'Malley, Pimblet. Like that make something to separate them from everyone else. I gonna have another opportunity maybe to go over there to do some shit show, and then to make bunch of money. But again, let's talk about majority of the people, who again stay shorted. Like why we have Bobby Green fighting again, that he was
Mm,
making
yeah.
this money, he would probably like sit out 6, 8 months, maybe even a whole year, if his knuckles wouldn't start itching him, and he really want to fight, like
Mhm.
this. Who knows what's happening? Maybe he has some debt to pay. I don't know, but for me, it doesn't make sense to go back so fast.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it being a good maybe retirement plan. Although from what I hear, pro wrestling it's not easy on the body either, but it can't be harder than MMA.
Yeah,
So
for
maybe
sure.
some retired fighters, Derek Lewis or something. Not that he's retired, but I could see an avenue for that.
Yeah, he'll be a fun addition for sure. But again, that's the small percentage who
Right.
has something. Like what's with the most guys that not gonna get anything from there. So I don't know. Like honestly, I don't like it. Like the sport that when I grew up through it was like even we had a Japan. It was like fixed fight, this that, but it didn't become this much shit show. I don't
Mhm.
know. I'm talking now like an old guy. It's just like my opinion. And we were talking even about the slap,
Yeah.
power slap. What even is the name? Is it
Power slap.
power slap?
Yeah,
Yeah.
get it right, man. It's the future of sports.
I believe it is. Unfortunately, I believe it is. Like I said, attention span going down, and like we're just living in the crazy times. When everything is like short clickbait. And people just want to see that. No, nobody is going like for something that I think has a value. Like even if you see good technical fight, 90% of people are gonna boo that fight. They
Yeah,
just
that's true.
blood. You know.
But then you have fights where like maybe it's not the best of the best, and sometimes that makes the most money. Like usually we pick some MMA news to talk about, but this is kind of related. Like Nate Diaz fighting Jack Paul. Like what do you have, one, any interest, and two, any idea how that could possibly look like?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, I have interest. Maybe I'm gonna even watch it. But
Yeah.
like again, what's happening? People crossing in the other sports. Just like I, I don't even know how to call it. Like why Nate Diaz don't stay in? Why they don't make like? And I think most of hardcore old fans are gonna be interesting to watch. The guys like fighting, like let's say even now, if you watch like Tito and Vanderlei Silva, you would again maybe watch it. Like it will
Yeah,
be
yeah, that sounds
interesting.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have to cross over in some other sports. We see
Mhm.
even like some guys doing bare knuckle boxing. Like what UFC can make. Also, like how you say, you have in jiu-jitsu, you have masters, you have like adults. They can make like a retirement UFC. You know,
Mhm.
just like we're like like you see Jacare against Belfort. Why to watch them in boxing? Let's watch them in MMA. You know,
Yeah.
it makes more sense to me than two of them boxing, to be honest.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Especially like Jacare. Vitor kind of makes sense because like he likes to box. He's always liked boxing, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I know,
weird.
but again, it wasn't his sport. Okay,
True.
that he went against Roy Jones Jr. Okay, that would be interesting,
Yeah.
But like we have two MMA fighter fighting in box.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
You know, I don't know. It's just like it's awkward. They're just like losing the point. Like so many things, so many happening. And it's hard to follow. That's why I think I'm liking PFL more and more,
Mhm.
because they have a structure. You know what's going on. You know what to expect. And also, I think for the fighters, a lot of fighters are saying really good stuff about it. I know exactly when it's my next fight. You know,
Mhm.
like in UFC, everything is like under the table, how it's gonna happen, like this, that. If you're not playing by the rules, you're not gonna get a fight. I mean, just a lot of things that really annoys me. But unfortunately, the best fighters are there. We're gonna see now when
Yeah.
the one FC comes to states. Can they little bit change something? Because I don't think Bellator can go anywhere. I think they came to their peak, and now they're just going down, down, down. I don't know how long they can maintain even
Mhm.
their organization, because I don't think they're making any revenue, to be honest. At least what I
Yeah, I wonder how much PFL benefits from being on ESPN, if that helps at all. I'm sure it does, but like I agree. I love the tournament aspect of the PFL, and I don't think the UFC will ever do that. But if they did, I still think they could be very marketable. Like if you think about NFL and the Super Bowl, like people still tune in to watch. I don't give a fuck about the Super Bowl, but it's still very popular. People watch it, and it's like, who cares if your favorite team doesn't make it to the Super Bowl? You still watch if you like football. I think it could be the same thing with MMA. If your favorite fighter doesn't make it to the championship, you still want to see the best fight the best. So it would be cool to see UFC do a tournament style, but they probably won't.
No, I don't think, for many reasons, because they like to pull the strings. Even that, it's gonna give some fair to the game. Like
Hmm.
you have, and then you have elimination, and you know exactly who came to the title. There is a clear path. Like this, there is like so many unknowns under the table. What's going on? Who they want to push? Look how Pereira came to the title, fast track to the title. We're gonna see. And
Hmm.
okay, I'm really sorry that he didn't stay in 185, because we would see like probably even Vittori beating him up,
Yeah.
Whittaker beating him up. It's just like it is how it is. Even now, Covington, I mean, more or less getting the fast track. He didn't. He is good. There is no question about it. But like, he didn't do the like a yards what some other guys did in that category. Okay,
Right.
Bell is first on my mind. You know, he was playing. He used again his popularity or people hating him, and it is how it is. Just like, unfortunately, the best fighters are there, and we are stuck with UFC until something else.
Now we're going deep into the rabbit hole, but a rumor that I heard, conspiracy theory, if you will, is that the reason Kobe Covington's getting the title shot is because he agreed to drop the charges against Jorge. So now Jorge can fight in Miami. They could do the big show and stuff. So he kind of made a deal with like the UFC. Hey, if you drop the charges against Jorge, you get a title shot, and then we could just keep moving, keep moving. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
I mean, it could be really easily, but also Masvidal retired, so why UFC would have? I mean,
Yeah.
if that much profit, I mean, again, you know,
It could be bullshit, like they're lying, but the UFC did say they've been waiting for a star like Masvidal to go back to Miami because I think it was like 15 years or something since they've been to Miami. So I don't know.
no, I mean, it's stupid. They had Romero. I think Romero would also bring a lot of people, so they had opportunity.
True.
I mean, we can go like this, but we can go just like simple and easy. Who was sitting in Miami in the first row?
Oh yeah,
Mr. President. Like in
yeah.
so we have Dana White in one side of Donald Trump's ass. We have Colby Covington on the other side of the ass. They met
Yeah.
inside and they were like shaking their hands. Okay, and Donald said like, "Give the Colby next chance."
Yeah.
Another theory,
Could be anything, yeah.
just throwing it out there.
101 MMA conspiracies.
Okay, let's finish for tonight.
That's it. I want to
Slowly,
give you
I
an
didn't
even
do
bigger
my
headache.
part of the job. I skipped the odds. Sorry, guys, one more time. So more or less, I said it. If you go on the Patrick's pick, you're good. 180, I said something like that.
140, I believe.
140. Okay.
And then
When you gonna
Alex
go?
with
Yeah,
90.
139 on Patrick's, $90 on mine. So we don't have formula to get rich this weekend. Hopefully, the next one. I mean, like I just watched the card. I just throw the look. There is some interesting fights. We have Valdo Cortes Acosta against Marcos Rogerio de Lima. We have also Ricky Simon and Song
Mhm.
move from this card. We have Caio Borralho against Michal Oleshnikuk. That's gonna be interesting one, and we have Cody Brundage against Rodolfo Vieira.
Okay.
Okay.
I like Vieira. He's interesting to watch.
Yeah, there's a couple interesting fights, So like always, you can find something that's interesting, and there's always good matchups. We just like it's sometimes like it's too much to be honest, but we always enjoy it. I think most of the nights.
That's right, brother. All right, that's it for tonight. See you guys next time. Ciao.